Disclaimer: this video is for educational or informative purposes only. Dopamine system. Your body comes with a built-in happy pill factory called the dopamine system. It's basically the tiny part of your body that makes you happy and gives you pleasure whenever you do something rewarding. In this case, watching is the act that tells the body to pump more dopamine. The problem is that watching too much messes with the system, like how a sugar rush messes with a toddler. The more dopamine your body gets, the more it becomes a spoiled celebrity who no longer feels happy with a round of applause. Instead, it wants more and more, because the things that used to be fun now become boring and lifeless. Now your body wants a ridiculous dopamine explosion worthy of a Michael Bay film. That means the usual content doesn't hit the same anymore. Watching your favorite performer getting plowed by some dude just doesn't come with the same spark it used to have. You start craving other videos that have more excitement or weird plot lines that can get you rock hard. So that's when you start digging deeper and deeper, like you're on a treasure hunt. Before you know it, you're already 400 pages deep and eventually your entire reward system goes into full meltdown because nothing seems to make you feel happy. Food, friends, and vacations become exhausting, but you're not broken. It's just that you trained your brain to think stars that can contort their bodies like yoga masters are much more exciting than real life. Increases anxiety. You might think watching is a harmless hobby that can help take the edge off after a long day, but instead of calming you down, can sneak into your head like ants sneaking into your snack. They throw a party, eat everything, and leave behind a big mess called anxiety. Every time you watch it, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. That's the happy juice your brain loves. It's like giving your brain a cupcake as a reward. But dopamine can be addictive because one dose of it is never enough. That's why your brain eventually wants the whole bakery instead of just one cupcake. That's when normal things stop feeling fun. This can trigger anxious thoughts because nothing ever feels good unless it's in 4K HD and has questionable acting. Your brain starts overthinking, worried about whether or not anything could make you happy or excited ever again. Then things can get awkward when it messes with how you see yourself. The more you watch that stuff, the more you expect yourself to look like a chiseled Greek statue with a 10-inch tool hanging below your waist. That kind of pressure can wear you down and make you feel uncomfortable, like you're wearing skinny jeans 2 sizes too small. Ultimately, you just want to hide yourself away from society and its unrealistic expectations. Erectile dysfunction. You might think spending more time on the hub trains that little guy down there, similar to how spending time in the gym trains your muscles, but that isn't always the case, because can lead to erectile dysfunction, or ED. That basically means it's going to be harder for you to get some blood flowing into your and allow it to harden like a metapod. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're healthy, in shape, and at the prime of your life. But the body just decides to take a break when things get interesting, making it harder for you to get a hard-on. This goes back to our dear old friend called dopamine, which is the brain's way of celebrating and throwing a party. If every day is like a party, eventually the music gets boring. That's when the brain starts asking for better and louder music. In the end, real intimacy gets boring because it can't match up to what you see in. So the more you watch, the more your brain turns into a picky movie critic. It gets spoiled by all the jump cuts, plot twists, and people who can go on for hours without a break. Then you meet a real person who laughs at your jokes and smells like a human, and your brain simply sits bored. Your body's confused, your brain's disappointed, and your date is wondering why you keep staring at the ceiling like it owes you money. Harms libido. Nothing beats doing a horizontal tango in bed with a real human, because that's when you experience the stuff you only see on the hub. But when you spend too much time watching without actually trying out the real thing, that's when it starts killing your libido. This is basically your natural interest to get on with another person, instead of simply watching a seemingly innocent-looking actress during her job interview getting intimate with her boss. That's because tricks your brain into thinking it's on the best roller coaster ride you could ever get in your life. Your brain starts craving variety, feeling that nothing beats the things you watch online. It gets hooked on the idea that every second should be a new scene, a new position, and a different saxophone soundtrack playing in the background. Eventually, your body will now respond more to screens instead of skin. This is when it becomes harder for you to connect with someone emotionally and physically. It's like forgetting how to drive a car when you finally get behind the wheel of a Ferrari after spending years driving a simulated Lamborghini. You start pushing all the wrong buttons until your body decides it's better off playing video game races instead. Feeds obsessive thinking. Imagine waking up and the first thing you do is open your phone to watch people doing gymnastics in bed. The next morning, you do the same thing. Again, it goes on until it becomes a habit. Eventually, when you're doing normal things, like brushing your teeth, everything reminds you of. That's what watching too much can do to your brain. It basically feeds obsessive thinking. In a sense, your brain turns into a clingy ex that can't forget about. It keeps replaying scenes, like Spotify on repeat. You're basically living with a broken TV that only plays one weird genre all day, and that's because it has become a habit and even a borderline addiction for you. Everything you do always reminds you of that money shot scene of that favorite video you always watch when you're bored. So if it gets to that point for you, the simple stuff becomes uninteresting, because your brain will always want something that's wild and intense. It's like how you can't enjoy listening to music without turning the volume to max. The problem starts when you're no longer just watching. Instead, you're scrolling through thousands of videos like a detective, looking for that perfect video that scratches that itch. You blink once and you notice that 3 hours have already gone by. Meanwhile, your dignity is now long gone, as your brain now digs through garbage videos like a hungry raccoon. In worst case scenarios, you stop paying attention to real people and real conversations because your brain is too busy running its private film festival. You nod and smile while mentally planning the next episode of Brain TV. If you're obsessed with our videos, however, please subscribe. Depression. If you're feeling down a lot, tired, unmotivated, or like nothing really excites you anymore, it might be part of the problem. You'd think watching all day is harmless fun, but it's like feeding your brain the pixelated version of heroin. Every time you watch that stuff, your brain rewards itself with dopamine, that feel-good chemical that turns everything colorful. Soon, regular stuff like eating pizza, bungee jumping, and even skydiving feel as dull as watching paint drying. Your brain's basically a spoiled kid now, and real life feels like broccoli. Over time, this turns into a low-energy mood that sticks around like glitter. You wake up tired, stay tired, and wonder what's the point of life if it's not even close to what you see in. The more you watch, the less you feel motivated to do anything else. It's like your ambition took a vacation and forgot to come back. This is where depression sneaks in, but it doesn't show up wearing a name tag. Instead, it comes in quietly and slowly until it finally convinces you that you're a sad potato with no purpose in life. And you don't even notice it until it's too late. Eventually, depression also convinces you that the only way for you to get a dose of happy pills is to go online and watch. That's why you cancel plans, avoid people, and then feel lonely. And of course, your brain suggests the brilliant idea of watching more to feel better. That's like curing sunburn by standing in the sun. The worst part is that watching is only a band-aid solution to your depression. Sure, you finally have a reason to smile after climaxing, but that's only going to last a few hours until you eventually start feeling sad and useless again. And when that happens, your brain finds a way to convince you to watch more until you're already dry and shooting blank bullets. Reduces empathy. Imagine watching a video where a plumber helps a girl fix her pipes, and 5 minutes into the video, the plumber is now fixing a different set of pipes. It happened so fast that there wasn't even time for them to go out to dinner, share stuff about each other, and talk about life plans. For them, it's as if happens naturally, as long as you're horny enough to want to do it on the spot, and this can actually affect your empathy, which is that thing that helps you care for someone's feelings even if you're not in their position. This happens because most videos are so fake that it doesn't take much time and effort for the performers to start touching each other. It's as if these people only exist to scratch their itch, but that's not really how things happen in real life. Unless you and your partner are both dogs, it takes a lot of smooth talking, eye contact, and probably 5 bottles of beer before you start seeing some action. But turns people into props that don't act like normal humans. They took the shortcut without even doing any of the harder stuff. Basically, gives your brain the fast food version of connection because it lacks effort and emotions. Instead, it's just a greasy, instant reward that jumps to the action. Imagine watching a movie that goes straight to the best part without even building the story up. That's essentially what does. Undermines discipline. Discipline is like that one friend who wakes up at 5 a.m. to jog while you're still arguing with your blanket. It's the part of you that gets stuff done. But when enters the chat, discipline packs its bags and takes a long vacation with no return date. And watching is like giving your brain a donut every 5 minutes because it tastes great but does nothing good. Your brain is actually a lazy couch potato that likes it when you give it shiny things with zero effort. When that happens, it stops doing useful stuff. In this case, is its favorite shortcut to happiness. So when your brain starts seeing challenges that take too much effort, it suddenly decides to stop working because it wants to go back to that brain candy it loves so much. Eventually, you start avoiding hard stuff like studying, exercising, or remembering your partner's birthday. Meanwhile, real life becomes too slow for a brain that wants pleasure to be on turbo speed. Reading books, playing games, talking to real people, and going on vacations aren't as fun as they should be. In fact, they may sound as exhausting as climbing Everest because you've gotten too used to instant gratification and happiness in the form of exploring different angles. But it gets worse when your brain also gets tired of. In that case, you're stuck in the land of zero motivation, holding a bag of chips, and wondering why your life has gone through the worst downward spiral. If that happens, you'd probably be wearing the same pajamas for a week without showering, because your discipline and motivation are at an all-time low. Lowers your energy. If you ever feel more drained than your phone battery after watching, you're not alone. Watching might seem fun and harmless at first, like eating an entire tub of ice cream alone in your pajamas. But just like ice cream overload, it quickly goes from sweet to sluggish. Your brain isn't designed for endless streaming marathons, especially ones that make Netflix binges look like child's play. Here's the sciencey part. Your brain loves dopamine, the happy chemical it pumps out whenever you experience something rewarding. Dumps buckets of dopamine into your brain, making it party hard at first, but the more dopamine you get, the more your brain demands that stuff. It needs bigger hits to stay awake, turning that happy chemical into a sleepy chemical. The next day, your body feels less energetic than a car rolling downhill on neutral. You might notice you don't have the energy to tackle your daily tasks, exercise, or even leave your bed. It's like stole your battery charger. In some cases, you may have the motivation to get stuff done, but your body just refuses to cooperate because it's too tired from watching and beating your meat. As tired as you may be, even your sleep gets messed up. You may not have the energy to do anything in life, but your body also doesn't have the energy to take a nap. That's all because your brain wants more of that good stuff. You plan to watch just one quick video, and suddenly it's past midnight and your brain thinks it's party time. The next morning, you wake up feeling like you went through a wrestling match with Brock Lesnar. Lonely habit. There's nothing more ironic than feeling lonely when watching people doing the most intimate stuff humans can do, but that's the reality of watching. Sure, it might sound harmless if you don't overdo it. Eventually, it becomes a habit that pulls you away from real people. Before you know it, you're a lonely person surrounded by a screen, lotion, and tissues. If that happens, you start spending more time with a screen than with actual humans. But that screen doesn't talk back, doesn't care about you, and doesn't laugh at your jokes. It's just there. And the more you watch, the more you get used to that one-way connection. The screen gives you fast comfort, like a microwave burrito. But just like that burrito, it leaves you feeling weird and kind of ashamed because it's not real food. In the same way, isn't anywhere close to real-life connections with actual people, even though you might memorize every star's name. This is when you need a friend to tell you to go out and touch grass. Eventually, your confidence takes a huge hit, making it harder for you to go out and socialize. It's easy to hang out with a screen that asks for nothing. That's why it might be easier for your brain to convince you to stay at home and watch. But that screen won't help boost your confidence up because it won't give you words of affirmation or clap for you when you do something good. And when no one's there to cheer you on, your self-confidence drops to an all-time low.